Sunny, our California Glow Girl. Once again, thanks for being with us again tonight, Sunny.
Sure, my pleasure always. It seems as Magnus knows a lot. He was very interesting to listen to.
Absolutely.
Razor sharp, that mind there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For a guy from England, he sure understands our political system in our country very well after only being here 5 years.
The BBC calls us pretty good, that's why. We're just fun to the rest of the world to listen to, I think.
I think that's what it is. Well, listen.
I agree.
But I want to put the question to you that I put to him, and that is that you heard what I said about the NFL.
Oh, sure.
Up
absolutely.
until 2013.
I was going to agree. I would so much welcome every, off-duty police officer, as you know, or maybe you don't. There is a lot of pro wrestlers that are cops, ex-sheriffs, and, they also own promotions.
I did not know that.
Out here has a wrestling promotion, and he is an A1 detective. I would welcome them to sit by, absolutely, in a heartbeat. I would feel 110% safe. Yeah.
It boggles my mind why people would, question that and see that as a threat. When you have a problem, you call the police, right? And we're not talking about your average patron. We're talking about off-duty police officers with their service weapons going into these places and notifying the promoter or the security, whoever handles the security, that they're going to be there and where they'll actually be sitting in case they need help or in case something happens. They'll know where the people who have, weapons because they're off-duty police officers are at in the stadium. It just seems to me a logical thing to do, especially when these terrorists are obviously out to kill as many people as possible, and they're going to places where there are big crowds.
Where there's big crowds. Well, look at the airlines and stuff, guys. I mean, we know that there's security on there. There's undercovers on the airplanes. We don't know where they're sitting, but they're ready at any time.
It's the same thing.
Why are they allowed on airplanes and other venues, but they can't go into, let's say the WWE or, for instance, our arenas, which we held like 80, 90,000 back in our day, but luckily, or should I say thankfully, we didn't have this going on in the 80s as so, as it's happening now. But, it's scary. It is. And these guys are just making their way in. My friend told me this. I don't know if this is just a Jewish Israeli. I happen to know many of them, and they're very close to me. And one guy, he said, you know what, Trish, you got to be careful for every guy with a beard that looks Muslim. So now I'm on alert. I don't want to be friendly to any of these guys with long beards that look like they're Muslim or Pakistani. And that's terrible, but that's what's happening right now in our society. We're frightened and we're scared.
And it's understandable. And this is why I say, and I was talking about this early on in the show, is that for the Muslims who practice this as truly a peace-loving religion or whatever you want to call it like that, they got a big problem on their hand because these radical Muslims are tarnishing them all. And it's making us look at every Muslim now sort of, out of the corner of our eye with that just bit of doubt or wonder, that...
Well, but he stated that they're really religious. They're the radicals, the ones that are growing the beard.
Well, he's right. He's right. I've read from the Quran numerous times on the show, and unfortunately, what they are preaching, they're getting right out of the Quran. Mm-hmm. And it's a problem because and members of both political parties, it started with George W. Bush after 9/11 and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, that no, it's not Islam. We can't talk about Islam. We can't call it radical Muslims. We can't do this. We can't do that because we're going to upset somebody. We don't want to seem like we're at war with the whole religion. And unfortunately, that political correct attitude really obscures the real dynamic at play here. And it takes the pressure off of the Muslim community and puts it on the Christian community to solve a Muslim problem. It's totally backwards, if you ask me.
Right. Now, you know what else I have a problem with is that the individual that, the neighbor of this Saeed Farouk, this Marquez, why wasn't he picked up? He gave Farouk the 2 rifles, to my understanding. So he actually escapes this, and he checks himself into a mental facility, that makes it okay?
Yeah, for now, that's evidently what he has done. That's right. Folks, what she's talking about is one of the neighbors, one of the friends of these perpetrators, had actually provided them with the AR-15 rifles, not the handguns, but the rifles. The FBI searched his house today. He wasn't there. It turns out he had checked himself into a mental health institution. And it's sort of like seeking asylum, I guess, in an asylum. And we shall see what the FBI does about it. But, you know, they also found that Farouk was communicating with a guy by the name of Mohammed Hassan, who is a known terrorist sympathizer who was living in Minnesota until recently. He was, and by the way, in Minnesota, a lot of Somalian Muslim refugees have been relocated there.
Right. Isn't that scary? And there was quite a few in Arizona, too, Somalians.
Were there?
That, oh, my gosh, not nice people.
No.
Nope.
And see, this is the problem with the refugees. We tag them all with this word refugee, so that automatically elicits sympathies and feelings of, you know, we pity them. You know, they're going through really bad times in their country. We want to take care of them. The problem is they're not all good people just because they're refugees.
Yeah, no.
And many of them are, but many of them are not. And because we're not in any way vetting these people in any serious fashion, it's like we're inviting a disease into the country, not knowing if it will actually infect and kill people here or not. It might, and it might not.
Exactly. And we have enough diseases in this country. We have enough to conquer.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed
Come
we do.
on.
Indeed
yeah,
we do.
don't need to open up the gates anymore, and they need to be closed. I agree with Trump. Oh my gosh, I agree. Yeah, it's it.
Yeah. Are you?
I'm very saddened at this. And even the mother, Farouk's mother, was an active in Islamic groups.
Yes.
I mean, if you go back, and they're everywhere. They're in these small little areas, mom and pop areas, living like the woman was. They were married. They have a child. This woman didn't even care that she was a mom.
Yeah,
she didn't care. Right there, that should wake up our world to like these people don't care.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I heard many of the talking heads last week as this was all being, you know, coming together and being reported, wondering how it is that a young couple, especially a young mother like this, could leave her 6-year-old baby and go off and commit this kind of act. And to me, it's obvious. I mean, this is radical Islam. There's no mystery about it. What would make somebody do this? Radical Islam would make somebody do this. So we got to look at radical Islam and look at that as the problem that it is and address it as the problem as it is. You know, the president's going to speak tonight at 8 o'clock. Do you think that he's going to come to call this radical Islam finally, or you think he's going to sort of make apologies?
Go around it as he's been?
Yeah.
Good old Obama.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I've lost a lot of respect for our president. That's all I'm saying.
You know, a lot of other people have as well. And this incident and his reaction to it seems to have, for a lot of people, been sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. All right, I've had enough of him now. If he can't see this as a at least call it a terrorist act. And if you can't do that, then you're no good to us. But listen, Sonny, I'm all out of time for this week, but we'll look forward to having you back again.
Great. Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure.
How do you like your new place?
I like it. I'm getting used to it.
Good.
It's cold, but I'm getting you know what's funny? Here's something really quick. Mountain Fiji, you know the character, larger-than-life Samoan. She is in my territory. It's funny. We were on the phone, and she said, you know, Sonny, I'm in Newport Beach. What, Mountain Fiji? I'm on the mountain.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right, good night.
Rocketing toward the International Space Station for the first